The Arizona Trail is about an 800-mile path that goes from the border of Mexico to Utah. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you already know that. So we're gonna cover a lot. It's gonna be fast. I'm gonna make it as painless for myself as I can because I have no mic and it's windy. It's gonna rain soon. Usually the hiking seasons are spring and fall. Spring is definitely the main season, but people use this trail all year. In fact, most people who use the Arizona Trail are not thru hikers. Most people will hike in the month of March is kind of what I've gathered over the past few years. One year, my first year on the Arizona Trail, I started on March 10th. And then this past year on the Arizona Trail, I started on February 25th. All right, so first, the basics. You are going to need gear, water filter. You need a water filter, and we're going to talk about water all by itself. Logistics. So when you are going to hike the Arizona Trail, you're probably going to fly into Tucson, and then you will need to get a shuttle, an Uber, a Trail Angel, and you will start at Montezuma Pass, so on the border of Mexico. On the Arizona Trail, water is life. That's how it is in real life as well. Water is your most important resource. Absolutely, without a doubt. Water is your life, and you probably want to have a carrying capacity of about at least 4 liters. Some people go more. I don't think it's wise to go less, just in case you're going on a really dry year or you hit a dry section, you know, you need to carry water for 20 miles. On my different times on the Arizona Trail, I have just brought about 5 liters of capacity, and I've never carried 5 liters that I can remember on the Arizona Trail. That being said, you will definitely do some 15-mile water carries, maybe 20-mile water carries. I have every single time I've been on the trail. A lot of people will use smart water bottles just because they have the Sawyer squeeze filters. I use a platypus. I love it. Some people use iodine tablets. Some people have like that other like chemical purification system, whatever it is. You can choose whatever you're into. You are going to find out your water information on Guthooks, which is the app that you'll download, and it's also how you'll navigate. That being said, this year I met quite a few people on trail who didn't use Guthooks at all, and they had really good navigation and map reading skills. So if you don't have those, just download Guthooks. You don't have to be in Wi-Fi or service, and you can literally watch yourself walk along the trail. It is absolutely stupid proof as long as you have some kind of battery backup. So most people will bring an external battery. That's what I do. I use like a 20,000, whatever the measurement is, like AV something. I use a 20,000 one. I only ran out of battery once, and it was on a 200-mile stretch where we never stayed in town, so I didn't get to recharge it. So back to water. Some of the water is gonna be nasty. Some of it's gonna be cow shit water. It is what it is. You need water. Sometimes you're going to drink from rivers where mine tailings come off in different creeks and drainages and go down into the main river. It is what it is. The first time I was on trail, I didn't bring electrolytes, and I think I just like forgot about their existence. I really don't know what happened there. But having electrolytes on trail is, I would say, pretty important, but especially on the hot years going through the Sonoran, because my first year I was on trail, it was hot. And this last time on trail, it was cold. So I would just really recommend bringing some electrolytes. As I mentioned before, you probably are going to have to tank up at times. So if we're going with that general rule of about 1 liter per every 5 miles, let's say you check out Guthooks and you see that there's a reliable source 12 miles ahead, you're probably going to want to bring like 2.5 liters of water just for the hell of it. You don't want to run out of water. That being said, once you get more dialed in on how much you drink and how far you go and how much or little you want to carry, you're going to be golden. But for those first 100 miles or so, you're just kind of getting your trail feet. You're kind of getting your bearings out there. Just shoot for about 1 liter per every 5 miles. All right, let's talk about your feet. Your feet matter. So my first time on trail, I used trail runners. A lot of people use those. Tons of people will use the ultras and they swear by them. If you are the type of person who you're carrying more weight on your body, you're carrying more weight in your pec, or you have plantar, I don't know how to say it, fasciitis, whatever. If you have plantar, you might need more support than trail runners. Every single time I've worn inserts, so this time I just used like some Merrell Moabs They're those. I don't like swear by them or anything, but they worked. Anyway, the general rule of thumb, if you don't know this, I learned this in cross country in high school. For athletic shoes, you typically get a half size bigger, no matter what, because your feet swell, surprise, when you work out. So if you don't know that, I just gave you a little tidbit for the rest of your life. So get a half size bigger because your feet are going to swell, especially if it's hot, and you know you and your feet. There's never been a time on the trail that I haven't worn arch supports. I just get these ones on Amazon called Walk Hero, and they work really well for me. Some people don't need arch supports. Toe socks. I swear by toe socks. I just get them on Amazon. They're in Gingy or something. I'm wearing them right now, actually. But you know, maybe I'll show you. I swear by them. If you're the type of person who even has the possibility of getting blisters, which is everybody, toe socks are just damn great. They are the way to go. I would highly recommend them. I also carry Leukotape on the trail. So Leukotape, I know that a lot of people use moleskin. To be honest, I don't even know how to use moleskin. When I start to get a hot spot, I start to rub, I start to get a blister, I will literally just put a Band-Aid or just plain Leukotape over the spot, and it just works as a barrier. So I would really recommend it. This is for the type of person who maybe has more pain, or you know, maybe you have knee issues, maybe you have calf issues, whatever. I always wear compression sleeves on my calves. Not always actually, but I always bring compression sleeves for my calves. So they're just these sleeves. They go from your ankle down to your knee. Man, there's a lot of foot action going on right now. Anyway, I wear the compression sleeves, especially at nighttime after a long day or if I'm in pain, and you can look those up. You can bring them or not. They are not required. I'm the type of person, I have a lot of pain on trail and in my normal life. Now, this is something that you just don't learn unless you're lucky enough to have a cool person on trail who tells you. So I learned this from one of my trail family members in 2019, Mav. Hello, Mav. I adore you. You're the best. And anyway, he taught me that a couple of times throughout the day, take off your shoes all the way, take off your socks and air out your feet and dry them out. Your socks will dry out, or you can even change socks. It is a game changer just to get out of your shoes, to let your feet dry. It helps so much with blisters. It helps like your feet. I'm not a doctor, but I think it helps your feet repair themselves faster. So that's a definite thing. And you know, even during my first 100 miles, I had a really hard time making myself take off my shoes and socks because I'm like, I want to keep going. I need to get in miles. Take care of your feet. Your feet are so important when you're through hiking, and they're gonna get pretty battered. If you're like me, they're gonna get battered. Okay, let's talk food and resupply. There are two different ways to do resupply. You can either pre-make packages and send them ahead to all of the different trail towns that you plan on stopping in, or you can just get to the trail towns and resupply at grocery stores and gas stations. The vast majority of people that I have met on trail do the second one. They resupply in towns. That is what I do. That is so much prep work to send ahead boxes to yourself and like plan where you're going to stay through the whole trail. But some people, they need to do that. They have dietary restrictions. They, you know, for whatever reason, they need to do that. So kudos to you if you do that. If you pre-make your food, you know, if you actually want to absorb nutrients, good on ya. The rest of us, we just resupply in trail towns. The only one that you need to pre-plan is from Montezuma Pass to Patagonia, which is like about 50 miles, I think. And so you need to bring enough food for those first 50 miles. And if you are willing to be a little bit flexible, you'll find everything that you need in those trail towns. The only place that I send a resupply package to myself, and I have multiple times, is Roosevelt Lake Marina. If you just need snacks to get you through a few days, they'll probably have it, but it is the one place. I don't really know how I would have gotten through my next section without a resupply. And it just depends on when you hit Roosevelt Lake Marina, if they're stocked up or not. But anyway, that is the one I would send a resupply package to myself. And I actually only sent it to myself, you know, a town or two before. So I let future me figure that out on trail. On the subject of food, we'll chat about hiker hunger. First time I was on trail, I got to like around mile 100 and I was ravenous. I couldn't consume enough food. I was just eating everything, and the food that would have lasted me 5 days in the first 100 miles was only lasting me maybe 3. And I was taught by the hiking community, it's hiker hunger. It makes sense. Your body is doing this really intense thing, and you're going to need to start consuming more calories. So when it hits, and 100 miles, that's just how it hits for me. It's going to be different for you. But it's normal, it's cool. If you're a seasoned thru hiker, you already know this. If you're not, expect it. Hiker hunger is gonna hit and you're gonna eat multiple candy bars a day. You can eat whatever you want. Make sure you get those salty, fatty, and proteiny foods out there. Let's talk about the elements and the weather. Just so that you're aware of my level of experience, I have been backpacking in the desert around Four Corners region, and I also have several years of experience in the backcountry of Alaska. I am accustomed to the extremes in temperatures, and I will be the first one to tell you, the Arizona Trail, you are going to see the extremes. You're going to see the extremes. In 2019, on my first big stint on the Arizona Trail, it was hot. It was so hot that during the middle of the day we had to take about 4 hours off, set up our tents, make shelter or find shade, and just lay out. It was hot. And my second big stint on the trail this past year, it was so damn cold. It was stupid cold. It snowed multiple times, it rained. You really can't expect one or the other. You need to expect everything. So this is more of a mental and emotional preparation, but that being said, you're probably going to want a puffy and some sort of rain layer. My first year on the trail, I was fresh off of a around the world trip, and in Vietnam, everybody wears those plastic ponchos on their motorbikes, and so I kind of picked up that little habit. I brought my plastic poncho on the Arizona Trail. It weighed nothing. You know, it was just basically a garbage sack. It was fantastic. And this past time on the trail, I brought a lighter weight rain jacket. I also brought a puffy. I used both of them the entire time. The first year, I carried a 0-degree sleeping bag. This past year, I carried a 5-degree sleeping bag. I'm a very cold sleeper. I froze the whole time this past year on the Arizona Trail. So I'm not saying this to freak you out. I'm just saying it to let you know, because this really is more of a mental preparation type of thing. And if you get that kind of a year, you really do have to be aware and cognizant of hypothermia. And especially when or if you're hiking alone, you know, you need to be responsible for yourself and acknowledge like, ooh, I'm getting too cold. Always make sure your sleeping bag is dry. The rest of you can be soaked, and oftentimes the rest of you is soaked down to your socks, your head. It's like you're in a cold shower. Those cold and wind and rain, perfect hypothermia conditions. And if you are outside all day backpacking, you know, and it's rainy and cold, hypothermia conditions. So just a little tip for you in your future life, not just on the Arizona Trail, but in those situations, make sure your sleeping bag is dry. Always make sure your sleeping bag is dry. All right, in case you didn't pick it up, get the Gut Hooks app. It's a huge resource. It's going to tell you about the elevation gains and descents. It's going to tell you about trail towns. It's a wealth of information. So if you're a noob, if you're watching this video, if you're a beginner on the Arizona Trail, just get that cool AZT app. It's like 10 bucks or something. So worth it. We're gonna talk about speed, not the drug, your pace. People are gonna be faster than you. People are gonna be slower than you. It does not matter. It really does not matter. There are going to be people who right from the get-go are going to be going 30 miles a day. There are going to be people who go less than 10 miles a day in the beginning. It doesn't matter. This is the beauty of hike your own hike. There's a reason they say that in the trail community. Because you're your own person, you know your own body, you have your own limitations, you have your own challenges and weaknesses. It is your hike. I'm not saying don't be open to others, but it's your hike. It's so easy to get caught up in wanting your hike to look a certain way. There has not been one stint I've had on the Arizona Trail where I myself didn't get caught up in this expectation of what I want my hike to look like. It's your hike. With that being said, I have kind of noticed a bit of a shift in the last couple of years on a moving toward the more kind of intense hiker. And that might just be what I saw this past year on the trail, but it definitely felt like there was less room for people who don't have a ton of money to buy all of their gear, or they're carrying heavier, because to be an ultralight hiker, it costs a lot of money. Please just be kind to other people. Like, you don't need to walk up behind somebody and comment on their pack. You know, like if you're giving them a compliment, whatever. But it's their hike. You don't know their situation. You don't know their life. And we all want a place out there. The second that you step foot on the trail, you're a part of the trail community. And it is an awesome community, besides the Facebook pages. Those, I would say pretty unanimously, you know, it's like typical Facebook. It's pretty cesspooly. That's not to say there aren't nice people on there, but it's also, you know, if I had started out knowing about the Facebook pages, I don't know if I ever would have gotten on trail. You are a part of the trail community. It is so joyous and wonderful to have these people who are out here hiking hundreds of miles. And these are going to be, you know, your little cohort. These are the people who go through this experience with you. And part of the experience is getting to stop and chat with all of these crazy characters from all over the world with all different backgrounds and walks of life. So make sure that you utilize that part of your experience. The community is awesome, and you are a part of it, whether you feel like it or not. You are a part of the trail community the moment you're on trail. Let's chat about the critters. Critters are one of the best things about the trail, I would say. Rattlesnakes, Gila monsters, elk, lizards, vultures, owls, eagles, deer, snakes, squirrels, horned toads, javelinas, birds, and tortoise. So enjoy the critters. Don't be a dick. Leave them alone. They're living in their natural environment. That's their place. When rattlesnakes rattle at you, it's because they're afraid. They have boundaries. They don't want you to step on them. Be cool. Be grateful for good fresh water, miles that come fast, hearty laughs with friends, and the trail community. I hope that you love the Arizona Trail.